My father had a fellowship to Europe in the early 1950s. I think that he met Wou-Ki at the gallery that represented Wou-Ki in Paris, which was Claude Bernard. I remember that gallery because I went there myself many years later. I like to refer to him as sort of my uncle and therefore my father's sibling, because they were very close. I look back at the photographs taken at that period, and you can see them smiling, sitting outdoors in nice courtyards, drinking wine. You can see that there's a very, very wonderful, warm, almost intimate relationship between the two of them. And one can imagine that both Wou-Ki and my father were emigres from China. Must have been a recurrent topic, which is bringing their influences from Asia, from China, and blending how they integrate themselves and how they introduce Asian sensibilities, which they bring into their métier, which is art for Wou-Ki and architecture for my father. And we're talking about the 50s and the 60s. This was really the height of abstract expressionists. So you can see that it was very fresh and fervent at that time in Europe and in America. I was a teenager at that time. I remember my parents visiting galleries, going to studios of the artists, having dinners with them. This was sort of what people who were in the arts and architecture were doing. It was a very, very exciting time. We used to go to some of the great galleries. You won't know them, but there's Castelli or Emmerich, Pierre Matisse, who represented Miro and also represented Wou-Ki in New York. Emmerich represented artists like Frankenthaler and Nolan and Caro and Held and Pepper, So I became very knowledgeable of these artists myself. And I'm sure that Wou-Ki had very, very particular reasons why that picture he wanted them to have. It's something that probably meant to Wou-Ki and to my father. This is a very good representation of the East and West. I feel that Wou-Ki had a very strong, obviously, affinity to traditional Chinese painting, which is reflected in this canvas. At the same time, you can see the very strong abstract expressionist character, which is in the fluid and the active brushstroke and the composition of the picture. He had many pictures of great quality, but this one is very atmospheric. The colors tend to be sort of dark, except for that bright area. And I think my parents really liked those colors. It was in a very special place in their living room. We didn't have a very large house, but that picture did occupy a very important place in their home. My father always said, architecture is life. What does he mean by that? I think it does reflect people's aspirations and values, and it is constantly responding to now. I think that he always wanted to contribute in a very positive way towards raising people's quality of life and the experience of life, and the experience of his buildings, helping to uplift. That is something which I believe all of his buildings managed to do, whether they were a very small library or an office building, a hospital, or a museum. They all managed to elevate the human spirit through the way they were crafted and the way they reflected the needs of that community. I believe that he really felt that art and architecture are one of the same, raise the human spirit, contribute something of value to people's life.